Hello and welcome along to another JA Karting video. We are back at Three Sisters Circuit in Wigan for a wet and wild winter sprint. This is the second round of the series and round one was definitely wet, and today is no exception. It was absolutely chucking it down for all three rounds. Just as a reminder of the format, today we're going to have three heats, all of the positions and positions gained, equal points, and then that kind of totals up to an overall event winner. This is heat 1 and we're starting kind of middle of the pack, P8, trying to get the pack bunched up as we do our rolling start, but eventually we do get the green light and away we go. The first lap is always a little bit hectic, but we get a fairly decent start, and Ramrod Alex to move him up past Jamie, and then it's just a struggle for grip really. We drop back a little bit. The cart's got some decent pace, and we overtake Jamie there, and then through Lunar Bend we take one position, and then after a little coming together with Alex we take up third, and then even get some great traction out of the corner and come into second. And it's a slog getting through that first lap because it's always close and tight, and particularly when it's wet. You can see me having a look over my shoulder here. Always the worry in that first lap is these fast corners, having somebody send it up the inside and come careering into you in slippy conditions, but we don't have that. We come away cleanly, and again similar for the final corner, we managed to come away cleanly. And really at this point, just trying to get your head down, put in some quick laps, and ultimately we're trying to chase down Lewis here now. Lewis is quick in the wet. He's already got a bit of an advantage because he was out in front from the beginning, didn't have that battle and pack to contend with, but now we're kind of settled into second. We're on lap 2 of 10 and ultimately generally relatively quick in the wet, so just try and put in some quick laps, hit the right marks. It's really tough in these conditions. It's super wet. Even wet lines aren't always the right one, but here trying to maximize the speed. The kart, we kind of find as we go through the race that not the quickest, and we're just trying to extract the maximum out of it. But as we kind of battle the last few corners and come towards the end of lap 2, we're in a relatively decent position. You know, we're still in second. Lewis is not getting away too much. You know, we're broadly speaking, I guess, following the same sort of lines and lapping at a similar pace. So Lewis isn't really building too much of a gap here, which is good, keeps us in contention, and we're just going to really try and get our head down and try and reel him in if we can. Probably knowing that if we come amongst back markers later in the race, that could play into our hands and bring him back towards us. But at this point, just trying to find the right wet line to use. You can see we don't quite get it right this time. A little bit early on the entry, and that means that we don't get quite as good an exit. And down the straight, that's kind of critical. This is where you build all your pace for the lap. So we're pretty good at the bottom of the straight. You know, we're getting this corner right most of the time. We're carrying a lot of speed through. And just trying to, really at this point, just trying to keep in contention. It's anybody's race really in the wet, because one tiny little mistake can bring the pack towards you, or create problems for you if you're the one that makes the mistake. Because any tiny little mistake, any touch of the curbs or the mud is going to penalise you heavily, more so than in a summer dry sprint. But that's not what we have today, and we're just trying to keep in contention with Lewis, and already we're kind of 4 laps in. At this point, you know, make a mistake, shake of the head there, because we're not hitting that corner like we want, and it really does mess up this long straight, one of the longest in the country. And if you don't get the entry to the straight right, you're going to be penalised all the way along. You're not going to carry enough speed. But the thing that I really struggled with, I guess, in this race and actually throughout the day was my visor steaming up. Even though I've got a pin lock visor, it was struggling in these wet, windy and wild conditions. So it made it more difficult trying to find my braking and turning points. But kind of unsurprisingly, as we go through the race, you see the odd yellow flag there. The conditions were really tricky throughout the day, and it made it for an eventful race, if nothing else. But yeah, at this point, we're still second. We're still pretty comfortable. We're lapping similar times to Lewis. We don't necessarily feel too much pressure from third place, and we're kind of lapping pretty comfortably. So relatively happy with where we're at. You can see we catch a back marker incredibly quickly, and that is fortunate because it doesn't penalise us as we go into corners. But yeah, at this point in the race, relatively happy. I kind of feel like Lewis is off in the distance. That kind of gap's going to be unattainable unless he makes some kind of mistake or goes too deep. But at this point, still relatively happy. We're still lapping at a relatively decent pace, and keeping a gap for the moment. So just trying to find the right lines, and it did change throughout the day. Some more traditional lines kind of showed themselves, but certainly in Heat 1 it was not the case. It's a very, very wet line, and we're just trying to maximise the corners. We're lapping, broadly speaking here, at around 102s, low 102s, I think was the best that we managed in this kart today. So just really trying to maximise the pace, maximise the lap time, and see if we can reel Lewis in. But you can see really he's quite a distance away already through the corner and well on his way. So over halfway through the race already. Still feeling pretty good, I think, at this point. I wasn't necessarily feeling under too much pressure, but I was starting to struggle with the visor. So not necessarily too much of a problem all the time, but you can see we go a bit deep there, and it's just those little tiny mistakes that we make that punish you. So deep there, again, it just means that first place gets that little bit further away, and probably third place gets that little bit closer to put us under pressure. But into lap 7, still doing relatively okay. We're still trying to find those right lines, and I'd like to be a little bit closer to the curb there. And again, we get a little bit out of shape through Luna, and Luna was a little bit of a tricky one throughout the race for me in this kart, in these conditions. Didn't necessarily get the pace out of it that I wanted to, and the grip and the traction, but still doing okay. You can see I'm trying to tilt my visor to the right there to clear it a little bit, get some fresh air through it, and clear the mud and rain off the front of the visor. But coming through, again, you can see Lewis is well away. At this point, that kind of P1, I think, is going to be a step too far, but we go really deep this time, really deep, and you can see the look to the skies, frustration, because we're, just silly mistakes, and it's costing us time, puts us out of line for these couple of corners. And bringing third place into it again, a bit deep here, not ideal. And then we kind of come up to our arch nemesis, really, Luna Bend, and just trying to get our head down really after Luna, try and carry some speed. First place is gone at this point. We're definitely not going to get first place unless something crazy happens, but just trying to get our head back in the game after a couple of little mistakes. Try and carry the speed through the corners, through the lap, and try and keep ourselves in the second place now. We're coming towards the last part of the race, last lap really, last couple of laps. So what we don't want to do is make any silly mistakes. We're just trying to keep our speed up, trying to keep those lap times good, but definitely just a few little mistakes creeping in. A little touch of the visor to try and give things a bit of a clear, but we kind of go a little bit too squirrely here, get ourselves out of shape in Luna, and you'll see our good friend Alex from the Pit Lane Collective come screaming by. And now we've got to play catch up. We're down into third, and you can see Alex wiping his visor, following behind a kart in these conditions was absolutely awful. Mud and spray all up in the visor. But we're just trying to stick with Alex here, trying to keep him really close. You know, we've got only a couple of laps left, so we need to stay in contention. Drop back a bit here, and we know that Alex is going to get past the back marker. We send it up the inside and narrowly avoid anything too wild and crazy, but we stick with Alex. We got past the back marker and we're still in the fight really here. So we both come through another back marker again. I get a little bit of a better line here and see a little gap open on the inside. Alex closes it and holds his line really, really well there. Shuts the door on us and we drop back a little bit, but we're confident, you know, I'm confident I can kind of catch him and put him under pressure. We do so here, actually. That inside line seemed to be a little bit better. Maybe caught us up a little bit, but we're following really closely behind Alex again. Awful, awful situation to be following in. You can see I'm looking off to the right, really just trying to avoid the spray, make sure that the mud and water goes across the visor. Here, you know, we catch a back marker that gets a little bit out of whack. We lose a few yards on Alex here, a couple of kart lengths, and we know that the checkered flag's coming up. So we just try and send it. Alex goes really wide on this last corner. I try a different line. Doesn't quite come off. Little bit of frustration there, but only ourselves to blame. Alex played an absolute blinder in that race. And we come over the line in third. Not bad from starting P7, P8. Give Alex a little tap and a fist bump. You can see me getting my excuses in. I couldn't see anything through the visor, but yeah, any excuse will do. But a great race all round, really good fun. Terrible conditions, but more to come. Stick around for Heat 2, soon to follow.